Leaving the single market, we are leaving, if not totally, the customs union. It's the end of that kind of relationship with the EU.
Yeah, it seems to be the extreme version of Brexit that Theresa May was briefing in advance of this speech. And that is incredibly disappointing for anybody who thinks democracy matters, because what she has done is taken the views of 51.9% of the people who voted to leave the European Union last June and assume they all meant the same as Nigel Farage, and assume they wanted an extreme Brexit that was not on the ballot paper. So this is a theft of democracy as well as an attack on our economy. And to decide to do this without seeking the will and the opinion of the British people at the end of it is all the more offensive. What she did say, the only two really substantial things she said in the speech was, one, that she was going for the hard Brexit and ripping us out of the single market. The other was that Parliament would get a vote on the deal at the end of all this, which really is saying that politicians can have a bit of democracy at the end of this process, but the people can't.
Right, but you're elected.
We take the view that you start this process with democracy, as we did last June, but you do not end it with a stitch-up at some point
because
in the
you want to see
future.
a second referendum, although...
I want a first referendum on a deal we know nothing about yet.
Right.
All we know is that Theresa May has waved the white flag on the most important thing when it comes to our future relationship with Europe. Do we want to be in or out of the single market? Business is united in saying we should be in the single market. 90% of the electorate,
not united
if you
completely.
believe the...
That's not true to say they are 100%
I'm sure you
united.
could find somebody, but 90% of the people of all kinds in the most recent survey before Christmas say they wanted to be in the single market. So to choose this extreme version is a theft of democracy.
All right, let's ask...
And the only way to close it is by asking people to say yes or no to the deal at the end of the process.
Right, well, let's ask what you can do about it, Tim Farron, as leader of the Liberal Democrats. Will you be instructing your peers to vote against triggering Article 50, which would start the negotiation process to try and block this happening?
So we've been very clear that we will use Parliament to amend whatever the government puts in front of us to ensure Britain gets the best deal, so that Britain does argue, for example, and fight its corner and business's corner to stay in the single market.
Right, so you will block it. You will block triggering Article 50, just to be clear.
No, well, I'll be very clear with you. Our red line is on a referendum. If the British people are not given their say at the end of all this, if the will of the people is ignored, if the people are cut out of this process, and this is a stitch-up between politicians and bureaucrats in Brussels and Whitehall, though we will not vote, we will vote against anything that cuts the people out of this process.
Right, so you want that second referendum, that is the red line.
We want a first referendum on the deal, sorry to be pedantic.
Semantic,
it's not about a rerun, but it's important. We're going to get a deal, we know nothing what it's going to look like, we have some idea what Theresa May will and won't fight for. She won't fight for Britain's future in the European single market, which is bad for business, but we've got no clue really as to what it will look like at the end. Why should the British people have that forced upon them when they've had no say?
Parliament is full of elected representatives, like your good self. Why isn't that enough in terms of giving you the say on the final deal?
Well, if I'm honest with you, because we started with a referendum, I think that's how you've got to end up. We can't be in a situation where
to reverse the process that we would have been through.
If you think about it, if either the courts or even Parliament, elected though half of it is, were to, in inverted commas, frustrate the will of the people, that would be wrong and counterproductive. The only way Britain is staying in the European Union, it would appear, even the single market now, is if the British people tell the government that is what they want. The Liberal Democrats are the only people providing the vehicle for that democracy to take place.
Right, you're representing, as you say, the 48% who voted
and I think probably a majority of the leavers who want us to stay in the single market.
All right, well, obviously we don't know what the numbers are in terms of who wanted to stay in the single market.
We don't, but it's a lot more than none.
Right, well, I'm sure it is more than none. You may not like it, in fact I know you don't like it, but the issue of immigration was important one way or another. And do you not accept Theresa May is responding in some way to what many people felt was a need to take back some control of immigration and open borders?
I think what she's not doing, and what nobody else seems to be doing, is making the case for British people and our freedom of movement, British business, British students.
But answer the question on immigration.
Freedom of movement. So, but if you are concerned about immigration, it is a two-way street, and nobody seems to be arguing the best deal for us. And if you take Theresa May's line that freedom of movement is some kind of a red line, then don't accept what the other side say over membership of the single market. Go and argue Britain's case. If you want to be in the single market and you don't want some of the other stuff that other people in Europe say we've got to have, don't just accept it.
All right.
Don't wave the white flag. Go and fight Britain's corner. She's waved the white flag and given up.
Tim Farron, thank you very much. Lib Dem leader there. Well,